Why is that here? You might ask. What could sand and prison have in common? Welcome back to Cody and the Cinema. Today I'm discussing 6 films that you should watch if you're into movies that have a prison element. And I'm going to go through in such a way that the first few are kind of more literal, and as I go down the list, I'm becoming looser with what I call a prison film, okay? Because all of these movies have that prison element, and you should see it for that reason if you're into this stuff. The first of these being Brawl in Cell Block 99, the really entertaining Vince Vaughn movie. Yeah, Wedding Crashers Vince Vaughn is very good in this movie. And he's married to Jennifer Carpenter in this, who you may recognize from the Dexter series, Dexter's sister. And they have kind of a rocky marriage, and they don't have a whole lot of money. He gets fired from his job, and he gets into some things with drug dealing, and then he's in prison, and you kind of get the idea. There's the cover even shows you that he's going to be doing some fighting. And this is a multi-genre movie because at first it appears to be more of a slow character study of a man who has anger issues, and it turns into something much different as it goes along. It gets campier. It's really kind of a lot of fun to watch. If anything, I wish this had stuck more to where it started than where it went, but I do enjoy it despite the fact it's a little silly as it goes. And I've seen this 3 times now. I really feel like this is the kind of gritty action adventure that many are looking for, that they have trouble finding. It's a little less. I was thinking of like Nobody with the Saul Goodman actor, being kind of like that similar gritty beat 'em up kind of movie that was kind of popular a few years back. But definitely give this a watch if you're into that kind of thing. Lots of prison in that one. Lots of prison. And another movie that's very famous that involves prison. What if we had a sheriff and in a town drunk who had to guard the prison because we don't want the bad guys to get out? We would have the John Wayne response to High Noon, Rio Bravo, right? Great movie. This is a really good movie for a starter to westerns. Amateur to westerns. You probably like this one. It's entertaining, it's fun to watch, and it does have a good message about coming together, community, and really one of the 1950s movies that does a pretty good job exploring how tough alcoholism can be. Dean Martin gives us all with that. And of course, Walter Brennan in his typical kind of Walter Brennan role. Not as serious as something like My Darling Clementine, but still a really good performance from him here. John Wayne has really good chemistry with Angie Dickinson in this one. It's one of the few movies I've watched with him where he seems equally matched to the girl he's interested in. I think about like The Shootist, how Lauren Bacall really was a good equal to him. So yeah, I love it. I've seen this movie many times. It's a good one to just kind of vibe to as you fall asleep on the couch. And the prison is all over this movie because they're protecting a prisoner. You get the idea. Another movie that I watched recently that I feel like is a little bit under the radar, and that's unfortunate. It's in the, I think I got this from Kino Lorber. And Kirk Douglas, and I think this was his favorite role of his. And I can sort of see why. My favorite Kirk Douglas is actually Ace in the Hole. But this one is called Lonely Are the Brave. And it also has a small, unfortunately small role from Gena Rowlands because she's great in this. The actress from A Woman Under the Influence. And Kirk Douglas ends up going to try to sort of help her husband get out of prison, and he's in prison himself, and then there's this whole chase in this Western chase fashion, and I don't want to spoil what that starts to look like, but when we get into those chase sequences and that pursuit sequence, you're going to realize it has a very strong connection to a huge pop culture franchise that you'll see when you watch it. So if you're a fan of like the big action movies out there, you need to watch this because you're going to be like, oh, it did that. It inspired that. Yeah. Lonely Are the Brave. Terrific. Absolutely terrific movie. Walter Matthau, by the way, plays a sheriff in this, and he's so entertaining. He just like chews bubble gum and makes you laugh. It's really good. Another movie I couldn't talk about prisons without talking about a movie that makes a great use of prison as a true sense of melancholy and reflection, and maybe even the end of an era or the end of a genre. Like, could The Irishman be the end of the gangster genre? It certainly seems to be one of the last Scorsese gangster epics, and there is a terrific prison scene in this movie that comes toward the end that has really stuck with me among all the films he's done. I'm a little scared that people are going to kind of lose sight of how good of a movie this is, because it does have one pretty weak scene where Robert De Niro is being de-aged and he's kicking a guy, and it does not look good. And that's kind of become sort of a meme at this point. Don't let that distract you from how good of a movie this is. This is a movie that sort of follows Frank Sheeran and Jimmy Hoffa and what went down there, the Teamsters Union. It has Joe Pesci, it has Al Pacino, it has Rob De Niro, it has Harvey Keitel. It's like the quintessential gangster movie that Scorsese likes to make. It's not quite as good as Goodfellas, it's not quite as good as Raging Bull or something like that, but it's still a really good one that you should see. And it does have that prison element that I think you're really going to enjoy. Okay? Now let's go a little less literal with my last two films. Great Sand Dunes National Park. Why is that here? You might ask. What could sand and prison have in common? Go here if you're ever in Colorado. It's really fun. Woman in the Dunes. This is an awesome prison movie. All right? It's not literally a prison, but it's a prison. So the sand is the prison, because this entomologist is traveling to a place with a lot of sand, and he ends up getting stuck in a big house that's in this pit of sand, and he can't climb out because there's sand. And he gets trapped in this toxic relationship with this woman. This was one of the really popular 60s art house movies, and it's certainly something that I had to have in my collection. Right after I saw it on the channel, I thought, why didn't I just get that? Stunning cinematography, great art film, and it does make a good use of that prison concept. Maybe a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome kind of thing going on there. And finally, one that has a unique twist on prison in part of the movie. And if you've seen it, you might know what I'm getting at. But it's a movie that I love recommending anytime I kind of get the chance to. My second favorite A24 film besides Minari, which I just absolutely am in love with Minari. It's one of my favorite movies of this decade. But Ex Machina, if you haven't heard of this, this is kind of a science fiction riff on the Mary Shelley Frankenstein novel. So this employee of this tech company goes to an exotic location in a place that's remote, and he's working for some brilliant CEO or whatever who's working on these robots, and this employee is asked to evaluate how good these AI robot things are. It kind of deconstructs the myth of the perfect, brilliant billionaire CEO a little bit, which I appreciate. But also, it's just a stunning piece of science fiction cinematography. That part really works. This is one of the best robot movies that I've seen. And the prison element that I'm talking about is a good payoff when it happens. I think it surprised me how prison trapping that felt when that part of the movie kicked in. So this is a little bit less literal. And I'll be interested to see if anyone in the comments is like, yeah, you're kind of pushing that recommendation, Cody, in the cinema. What's the matter with you? But good movie. And those are some immediate ones I had. I'm going to do another list, I think, in the future, because I've left out a few really big names, especially for a guy who likes Robert Bresson, right? There was one I didn't put in there because I don't have a copy of it. And I couldn't make a video about A Man Escaped without having a copy of A Man Escaped. But you should see that. It's a great movie. It's the best prison movie ever made. So I'll cover that in another prison movie. Anyway, didn't mean to recommend that one, but I'll keep that in the take in the video that I post to YouTube. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, what prison movies you have in mind. I'm about guessing that someone's going to say something about Redemption, Starts with an S. I can't think of the movie right now. Leave it in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. Your likes, your subscriptions are so important to me. We'll see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.